getting the price waterfall right is really important as well, right? So this is a pretty classical one. So in this case, we're building up base price, and then we add some features to build up. So that's often a value pricing type approach, or could be cost plus for that matter. And list price is generally the price you'd like to sell to customers if you in an ideal world. Then you have discounts to invoice price, rebates to net price, non-cash stuff gets you to pocket price, and then normally you can stop. If you've done your good job, you can sort of stop paying attention here and not worry too much about the margin piece, right? Somebody else will worry about that for you. So the approach I've found quite helpful with this is first off, you've got to really align on what those common price points are. So where we're all going to agree that net price means the same thing inside the company, and pocket price means the same thing. Secondly, brainstorm on what the adjustments are, and then most crucially is rationalize those price points and adjustments. The price points need to have a common definition, and if you can't get to a common definition, you probably shouldn't have it. The waterfall adjustments should be done, they need to be material size, and they need to be something that varies across. So if everyone gets charged a 0.5% fee for service, then it's not valuable. Or if sales can't influence it, it's not that valuable, right? The point of a price waterfall is to help with price decision making. It's not to make it a perfect financial accounting tool. There's always some issues in there, but err on the side of simplicity is my advice on waterfalls. There's a tendency, everyone gets very excited, and you get these waterfalls that look like this. And half the elements aren't relevant most of the time, and it just confuses people.
We can start with this pretty simple waterfall here, and we can keep on adding elements based on what's available in the data set, data source, data mart, and we can keep on expanding those elements as we go through the project, as we have that data available, and we can tease that out. But to start with, we can start with something that's more simple, and then keep on adding, and then we can also combine things later on, right? So there's ways to start with a basic standardized waterfall and expand or contract as is appropriate.
I agree. The one slight distinction I make, Billy, is that just because it's in a data mart doesn't mean it needs to show up in the waterfall. A lot of things should be grouped together because they're not that important and they don't affect that many deals. If you add up all of them and it's 0.5% and it was at 3 customers, then it probably doesn't deserve to be a waterfall element, right? It should be in an other bucket. It should be in the waterfall, but not broken out separately.
Well, and the second thing is at what granularity are you tracking that data? And you have to know at what granularity can you get to in terms of the product hierarchy, in terms of the customer hierarchy, in terms of the business unit or the geography. At what level are you capturing profit and cost related data so that you can get to that base level? Because if you go lower than that, then you're missing data and you're not getting to the right answer.
I agree. I guess my point is that, if you don't have the data, it's an easy conversation, right? I'd love to, but I can't. But if you do have the data, you still got to be careful because oftentimes it still doesn't make sense. ERP systems are littered with hundreds of discounts and rebates that have accreted over time, and they're important to somebody. And often it's the big sales rep who has a lot of clout. But oftentimes they don't pass the sniff test for building them in because they add complexity and then you get a system that's not usable. Done it myself. So I'll go through this quickly. Price waterfalls frame decisions, right? So you could manage individual elements or you can manage on price points. Hopefully you almost always manage on price points because it takes away a lot of complexity and then you don't have to manage the individual elements so much, you're just managing the overall result. Hopefully that's the case most times. Pocket price or net price is often a topic because this pocket price thing makes finance get all jittery, right? Because they don't track pocket price in their accounting systems. But pocket price is best because it helps make pricing decisions. And the difference is these non-cash costs are the things that you try and put a monetary value on them, and then you make better decisions that influence the profitability going forward. But there's always an exercise with making finance comfortable with the fact that you're using a number that doesn't sit in their other systems, right? And the classic one is our payment terms, right? So you put a cash value on payment terms based on the weighted average cost of capital, and then off you go. But sometimes, sometimes net price is good enough. Pocket price corridors. Do you use this almost all the time, right? Lots of time. Pocket price corridors?
We use it quite often.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. Because one of the nice things about pocket price corridor is you set up the levels, and then you separate the execution from the strategy. So where those levels get set can be done in Price Builder and Price Optimizer. But the sales team doesn't need to know exactly where those numbers came from. They just need to know there's a target and some approval levels, some floor levels, right? So you've taken care of most of your change management exercise once you get them onto this type of scheme. And then the details after that gets easy after that. Easier. The other nice thing about this is you can do price realization scores in here. And I'm also a big fan of price realization scores, because then you can say, basically judge someone on where did they fit? Where was the price for this deal between the target and the floor? So you give them 100 here, 50 here, whatever, 25, 0, or 10 or something. Pick a number. And then you can look at the basket of a deal and come up with, give the deal a score that is a bit independent of what was sold, right? So you can say it was a shitty product package, but they priced it well. That's a really useful thing to be able to do. So that harmonizing across products allows you to do a bit more apples and oranges comparison. So I'm a big fan of price realization scores. You also then it's correlated with margin, but you don't have to tell people the margin. It's a really good deal too. I'll come to sales in a second.